everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Thirsty Thursday. I am Taylor, she, her, hers, and this is
Jake, motherfucking Ernie.
Yes!
He, him, his.
And this is episode 2 of Thirsty Thursday. As I said before, today we're going to be talking more about the conversation that we were having in episode 1 about sex work, or talking about sex, being interested in sex, and finding out about it through chat rooms, through texting to text messages. But today, we're taking it a little bit far. We're taking it a little bit further. We're going deep, baby. Put your fist in there.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead
and...
scrape the walls. We are going to talk about communication about sex once you add audio and visual. Basically, internet, online, conversations, chat rooms, areas in which you can chat about sex, about kinks, about being interested in sex, about talking to people who are of your same sex, all of the good things. And specifically, fantasy. And specifically, we want to start off kind of by talking or giving context as to what we mean specifically when we're talking about webcam or camming, because we will say that a lot in the specific episode, because that is a huge part of video sex work that isn't porn, and we will talk about porn soon, but
real close.
Right now,
we're real close to porn,
real close to porn, but right now we're just handling webcam camming. And that really just pertains to a model who is a video performer that is streaming upon the internet, right, with a live video cam broadcast. A model often performs erotic acts online, like stripping or role-playing, and that is in exchange directly for money, goods, or attention. And they may or may not also sell videos of said performances, or separate videos of their performances.
And that'll take us into what we'll talk about what is a cam model in general. That's like a great start definition of what we're talking about when we say that. But we'll get more into like the socio context of it all, and why do we cam model, and the reasons behind we put ourselves in these situations as a community, but just as individuals in general. And the connection that we have to this development of this online e-hooking, like what that means to us as a community, and how we're able to, continue our livelihood through different methods.
Period.
I love e-hooking.
Exactly. It's great. It has brought me lots of money. I love a good e-hook. Love a good fish and bait. It's very great, especially if you know what you're doing. And if you are at least a little bit experienced. But first up, we want to definitely talk about, like, what are some reasons that you would get into cam modeling, or what are your experiences with cam modeling? What maybe drew you to it in your personal experience? And then also broadly, like, why would anybody, or specifically a queer person, be drawn to like cam modeling, or to be?
I know mine all started with just doing like, I'll compare it to like small bar shows for like the real world. I'd go to these weird small ass party sites where you can put your cam on, and like people can either watch you, like message you privately, but your camera's basically just pinned to a board. And people can either watch you and decide to message you, or just watch you.
Right. And
I would get so much, attention through that. It was strictly a fantasy for me.
Yeah.
And I would name my name, like, I didn't even live in Texas yet, but I would be like Texas college jock, like setting up a fantasy just through a name. And that was strictly just a get off for me, because I just honestly loved the attention.
Exactly.
But then I did kind of evolve from that to looking at like, okay, these bigger sites that will, like, you can get money and, start getting into the zhuzh of it all. Which also require you to be older. And being younger and looking up to that, like, you get on the sites to do all this stuff, you try to get like your identity through, you have fakes, things like that. But you start talking, like, you start wanting to be those guys, so you get more attention from like these grander things, and they give you prizes and everything. And it's really cute. But for me, it was always just almost like a kink. Like I just
Yeah.
liked that glory of it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's always been a part of the reason why I've always been drawn to the internet is because I've always felt like the internet has been a space for me to create the person that I want to be. Um, and the challenge has really been to reflect that in my own life. Like,
Yeah.
because there are so many avenues, especially as children, for you to fall into. I was really involved. There was like, when you would play online games like Club Penguin or
Yeah.
something like that, there was always like these underground sort of like weirder users or probably older people who would
I
make
want to be a slut on Club Penguin. Hell yeah.
period. And I would curse on there and do all different types of stuff. And
Yeah.
you kind of get caught up in having chats with, and then it moves to Sims and like
Oh,
I'm
girl,
you.
Sims nowadays is literally just create your own porn.
Exactly. I see it on Twitter, like just strolling down my timeline, all these mods for
Yes,
Sims that you can
yes.
do, and you can play with people online, and you can do all these things to people online. And it is really like, I've always been telling people, like, we've been doing this in the weird parts of the internet, people. Like, we have been, just like you were saying, Jake, like, there are lots of sites that I've been to. I always have my camera off because I more so have, like, if we're like a kink, I would say more so to watch or to let someone else know that I am watching. I like that personally with my partners, to just like either have us watch each other masturbate or to maybe watch a video of someone else doing it, or just to be like in each other's space. That's just something I like because I feel like I, as a person, I'm like, just let me do it. But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want you to
yeah.
be like in the area too. And I think as a child that intrigued me as well, or that was like an intrigue thing that I had. Um, and you can go to all of these different sites and see all these different types of people and literally just have your camera off and people are just like, that's their thing too. And
Yeah.
definitely in the beginning, like you said, as a child, I wasn't even thinking about money. Like I wasn't thinking about that I could be making money by doing these things. It was simply for the attention of it or for the intrigue of like, what is this? What can I do with this? Where can I go? Who's seeing me?
Yeah.
Like, is this really a secret life that I have? You know, it was
Mhm.
really all of that on top of attention, because people were giving the attention even though my camera was off, because they were like, wow, you're like, I can imagine what you look like. And like you said,
Exactly.
just playing into that, like having people want you or having people think about you or knowing that like you're going through your day, knowing that someone else is thinking about you, like
Mhm.
and you probably aren't thinking about them, or you're like, bitch, you've never even seen my face before. Like that was a power that I definitely liked having, or like
Yeah, definitely.
it's a power I still like having. The fuck? Like knowing that you can get someone, me and Jake were talking about this yesterday, like making someone come without touching them.
Yeah.
And like I was saying that I've done that with men because I just feel like with straight dudes it is so easy for them to come. Like you could literally
Bitch, it's
you,
not.
they could
I
literally
can't.
they could literally see you from across the room and they're just like jizzing in their face. It's so annoying. Or in my experience anyway, because they seem to not be able to hold it in once they're around me. Or there's definitely been experiences, bitch, get up. I hate you. There's literally experiences that where girls are saying that they're just kissing the boys and they're just like, oh, sorry, you know, they just come early. It's just a lot. I don't shame for coming
That's
early, but it's happened.
you
And
know that it's an epidemic, yeah, honey. There's
the pandemic going on. But when you think about instances like that, especially on the internet and how I got introduced to it, it becomes this sort of place to create the fantasy, like you said, just this place to escape to.
and there is a sense of community to it too,
Hmm.
because at one point I was definitely known as a regular on several sites.
Right.
People would
You,
know.
you get friends, you get people that you expect to see and you want to talk to.
Yes, I would talk to the same guys several nights
Yeah.
on the same site, and they just knew where to come and go to, who to look out for, and that was me.
Right.
And you know that it's almost like my first taste of underground gay community,
Right.
because they're not all horrible experiences. You always want to try, like get your, you know, who knows what it is in reality, but it does create a sense of community in that present time.
Exactly.
And I think that's what gets a lot of people interested into it. Definitely kept me interested, and that's like did feed a lot into my queer identity, because we kind of all have those in our development, like in our tool belt,
Hmm.
and just in the real world, it lets us connect on different levels. And I think that's a really beautiful side to it that I don't think is glamorized a lot.
Yeah. And I think as a queer person, kind of like the reason why we started this show is like, you don't have any examples. You don't have anybody to talk to. You've never seen any of these things otherwise, especially at a young age. And you're kind of getting interested in porn or kind of getting interested in sex or getting interested in queer sex specifically. You don't learn about it in school. No one's like clamoring to teach gay kids how it is that they would be the ones having sex. So you're forced to go find it in all these, other avenues.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of the times it's not always predatory or meant to manipulate someone. A lot of the times, someone was talking about this whole Doja Cat situation on YouTube, and they were saying that a lot of people who are outcasts in society are going to flock to these places where they feel like they're accepted, which are usually on the internet. You know, so if you're from a small town, if you grew up in the suburbs, or if you were maybe the only black kid, the only gay kid, the only whatever in your town, it's going to be 3,000 times as hard to really sympathize or try and find the things that you're looking for. But if you have a cell phone on you, you have access to whoever you want to talk to from across the world who's interested in basically whatever you can think of. And that's going to be who kind of like what queer people say, our chosen family, when our families don't want to talk to us anymore. We have chosen families. We're allowed to pick new people to be a part of our lives. And I feel like that's what cam rooms, cam chatting in general, but also
It instills that in us. That's
exactly.
where our first taste of it. That instills the tribe. Well, the tribe all plays a role in that too. But
Yeah.
we were able to really just quickly identify through the interwebs and how we intermingle with each other through these underground railroads,
Mm-hmm.
versus in the rural. And yeah, that's what I've always loved about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, so let me. Is this problematic? Well, yeah, period, it is. But like, I have a guy that I still have on like Facebook to this day.
Yeah.
I see his post. He's a realtor in Hawaii, and I met him like in my early slutty days, where I would just go onto like random little site, and we became online like jerk off partners.
Mm-hmm.
Like we get on certain times, we do our nasty, I do my show for him, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And that, and then it just stopped all of a sudden. Like, I delete this guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But is that weird that he's still like in my feed to this day? And like, there's just no. That's normal.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it would be unnormal if. Were you a child?
Hell yeah.
Was he a child?
He must have not. I think he lied about his age too. I think because we're like.
Oh, you lied about
your 30s now. Oh, definitely. There might be like 10 years between us.
10 years. And is your real age on your Facebook or your MySpace, whatever?
On my Facebook, my age is real. Yeah, so he should know now.
Oh, bitch, he's wild. Yes, that is problematic. The fuck? How does he know?
I don't know how old he is.
It was a child, and he's still on your page. You know the gays. I don't put it past him.
I think he's closeted.
Of course he is. Of course he's married to a woman with kids. We all know. Of course.
But I've always wanted to go to the islands, honey. I've always wanted to go to the islands.
Screaming! Now's your chance, bitch. Oh my God. I literally can't. I've never had I think that's something else with, I think, being gay and young, and just kind of being swooped up in sex work and kind of being swooped up in cams and the attention and the money and all of these things. You start to chase, like, well, sometimes the fantasy, starts to bleed into real life, or this is something that you want to actually start to happen. And in my experience, and with a lot of experience of people that I know, you get into these sort of rings with these much older people who do the same thing. They, in real life have these real jobs and are probably act straight or do whatever they do. But when they're online with you, y'all have your whole world. You know what I mean? And especially if you're a sugar baby and you meet them in person, it can turn into a like mistress kept in the closet sort of relationship that people end up having. And sometimes people get fucked up thinking that those people are going to either leave their wife or leave their family for them, or think that they are that they're above, whatever's going on, or that person won't drop them at the top of a hat, just like you
drop the hat. Yeah.
And if that person's paying your bills, or if that person's really helping you along, and they have you in this hold, and they're giving you everything that you need, and then all of a sudden they just drop you, or if they abuse you, or if they do something to you, it's really hard to get out of that. And you would think being on the internet would make it less hard for that to happen, but that has happened to me personally several times. I just believe people for who they say they are, especially as a child. You're very gullible, and even as a young person, even now, like if people lie enough, like you'll believe them. And
Yeah.
when you bond solely through the internet, or solely because you've never seen each other in real life and you don't actually have to interact with each other, it's kind of dangerous. And especially when you bond solely off the fact that you make each other, you know, want to get off or whatever,
Hmm.
that's even more dangerous. To know that you're kind of bonded and tied to this person in this way. But we're going to get a little bit more into the negatives and the consequences of camming, and some ways that we can work better as a community to help to eliminate all of those things. But we'll be back in 2 minutes. See y'all soon. Good tongue pop.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's time to talk about the socioeconomic and political context of everything we're talking about online cam models that cam experience and starting that entire e-hooking kind of career. I can
Yeah.
call it a career, right?
Yeah, it can be career if you want it to be.
Sure. And I think a lot of people do, and a lot of people, do it for the money. It's a means of incomes, and it can honestly be just as beneficial as a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And the money for anybody can come through a lot of different sources. I think, a lot of sites have their own currency that kind of goes through, and you get bidders and you can get a whole bunch of coins that way. But I know several artists and models, they create a one-on-one connection, and they go through like PayPal,
Right.
all the paying apps, and they get direct from their clients.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you get a lot of yours in the
Yeah, I
past?
think I think it's a little bit of everything. You can take the route of, I'm going to be a cam girl on this platform, obviously. And if you're on any platform, just like YouTube or anything else, you have to abide by their rules. But on the platform, there begins to start happening where these people start to give you these just crazy amounts of attention, or at
Yeah.
least the attention that you're looking for,
Mhm.
and that you're seeking and that you want. They're saying all the right things. And you're like, well, if you want to see more, if you want to pay more, if you want to do whatever, then we can take it over here. You can get my number. We can call each other. I can give you my whatever. And like you said, then a private relationship starts, and they just start to directly, either benefit you in certain ways, or maybe y'all develop a casual sex relationship. It kind of becomes whatever you want it to become, number
Yeah.
one. But since the name of the game is to make money, a lot of the times you become either their regular, like you said, like you're the person they go to when they want to jack off, or you're the person that they go to when they want to hear, something dirty, or they want to hear something nasty, or they want to call somebody late at night, or they want to see your tits, or they want to see your genitalia on camera, and they'll pay you
Yeah.
for it. You can just do that regularly with one person, or maybe a steady 3 or 5 10 people clientele, whatever you fucking want. Um,
7. I always found 7 was a great number to have,
yeah,
like steady ones that would just go around, because it was all different kind of time intervals, and
yeah,
it was easy. My favorite, I liked sending out a private Amazon wish list. I did that several times. I just put a whole bunch of crazy shit that I needed and
right.
sent it out to people that said they're gonna buy me shit.
Period.
They didn't get many. I mean, as far as I know, they didn't get like any of my personal information. I think it hides that shit.
Yeah,
But but I think as much as I was fooling around. Like, and it's also fun. And I think, for the most part, I did it with even having to get a payment. And I think a lot of
yeah,
people are in that same boat.
yeah.
And we talked that at first, how we just do it for just the overall self pleasure of it.
Mhm.
And that's I think that's a really strong part of it.
Yeah, I think a lot in queer culture, with being never seen, you really want to be seen. You want to have the attention. You're used to not having attention, and so you really want to get that. And if
And
you're
we get it.
able, period, if you're able to make a career off of being that bitch, especially online, or being the go-to girl for when, niggas trying to see a bitch squirt, like, make that fucking happen. You can get your motherfucking coin, you can get your dollar.
Mhm.
And there are ways to do it, like you said, to where people don't do anything else but that. Most definitely, there are ways
Yeah.
to make lots of money on it. We hinted on it at the last episode that there are some people on OnlyFans who have detailed their stories of how they made upwards of $100,000 to $200,000 in a year,
Oh yeah.
because they have, manipulating men or manipulating the system that will continuously have its foot on your neck and twisting it about so that you can actually start making money off of these fetishes and these weird ideas and stereotypes that people have about you. Get money from it, period. And there's lots of different ways on the internet with a camera, with audio, with visual, or just audio, or just visual,
Yeah.
to make that happen for yourself. Most definitely.
And I'll say that as much as these models they do that and they make their coin, they find it like such successful channels.
Hmm.
There's always going to be this slap in the face, especially for gay people, because hetero people do this as well. But we're
Hmm.
talking about gay people that do this, and as a subculture that's always facing a daily punch to the face by the grand narrative,
Hmm.
like there's always going to be that shell that's going to come off, and they have to get out of that world and
Right.
face real life society and all of the homophobia in it.
Hmm.
Uh, and the transphobia and everything that every cam model experiences when they get into their own world online.
Yeah.
When they leave that, I think we all get to see the oppression of mainstream culture that it has on our society, and that's an interesting kind of bubble that you think you're gonna pop. Like, why should you pop it if it's already like so content with its own self?
Hmm.
And but I don't think people understand the daily trauma that people that have to bounce between those two worlds feel.
Oh yeah, it's most definitely um like a tearing between two worlds. Something that I often reference is like this idea of a double consciousness. W.E.B. Du Bois coined this term that like Black people in America have a double consciousness, because we know the underbelly of the world and then we also know the white world. Like we know how to pretend and then we also know how to be ourselves behind closed doors. And it's similar for um, any sort of people that don't fit a white normative narrative, just like you said. You have to perform and do whatever you need to do. And
Yeah,
the funny part about sex work is it's that white people, the older white men who are pretending to be whoever they are in life to fit into this narrative that they've created, are the ones who are keeping this underbelly afloat. You know what I mean? They are the ones who are requesting these things. They're
that's
the
the
ones
oh
who are,
yeah.
who are trying to get these fetishes done. They're the ones doing, basically perpetuating all of this shit. And it's because we live in a society that tells everybody, even white people, even whiteness has its foot on white people's neck too. You try and fit into this mold that you really can't fit into. And when that pops, you have no place else to go other than under. And what you'll find there are the people who are willing to make a buck, but you'll also find people who are really wanting to manipulate and violate people who have to go by any means necessary to make money for that day.
Yeah,
Or may
that
have
when they were 9, 10 years old or even
period
younger.
exactly, and have to reach out, whether they have to, like you said, or whether we do it for fun. Or do it because we need some extra money, or do it because we're trying to build our way out of a situation, or we're trying to become
Mhm.
independent. There's all these different routes in which you can get introduced to sex work via online, but there are also just as many things that you should look out for, just like in the real world, like you say, with homophobia and transphobia, and just worldwide, racism going on in the world. It's just very much personified and just amplified when you get online. But the good thing about it is that you can choose whether or not you want to be fetishized. You can choose whether or not you can charge extra for these certain people. You can choose to say yes or no
Yeah.
about who it is that's going to be your content and who it is that is a part of it. And if your kind of thing is like, I don't give a fuck who these people are as long as they pay me, which is like a lot of people, they're like, I don't really know who these people are unless you've made a connection to me or connection to my content and what I do. You really can just continue to make money off of that. But you do need to watch out for people who are trying to take advantage of you, like always, you know.
Yeah, and
Most,
also that's kind of transitioning to like a big call to action is like just because it's a virtual world doesn't mean it doesn't have impact on your real world,
mm-hmm,
and you can fall in situations where nasty people can actually get hold of you of your reality through your virtual world,
mm-hmm,
and that's just something out there for the community to always keep an eye on to know that that's still there.
mm-hmm,
Yes, this is a way for you to really test your culture, test who you are, test your sexuality, and see where you'd like to go and what it's kind of your world to paint, really. But there are evils out there that really try to get you and
No,
try to break
period.
you weak.
Rape culture exists, and the world really thinks that you're owed nothing because you make money by providing sex work. But sex work is a job, and is legal in several countries, in different places, and is not well regulated, and does perpetuate a lot of violence and racism and homophobia. But I think that there are people within it who can make a change, make a stance, and like you said, do their part to not only be what they want to see in the sex industry on these cam sites, but do the same
Mhm.
thing like we were saying on the last episode of making the community aware of predators and people who consistently maybe try and steal money, or like I was saying, screenshot people's OnlyFans, or post people's information, or maybe photographers or people that people shouldn't work with because they're creepy. Like those are all ways to not only change rape culture, but to also perpetuate and the exact values that we want to see done in sex work, because sex work is fine. There's nothing wrong with sex work. It's when violence is perpetuated on someone else that there's a problem. And sex work shouldn't be about violence.
Girl, we need online pepper spray. That's all I'm hearing. We need to
Yeah,
go.
period. Just like ways to keep people away from you. I personally have a just very direct sort of personality, which I think is very good for sex works, because I'm very like, how long are we talking? Because if it's longer than an hour, I need some extra money.
Yeah.
If we're just talking, that's what it is. But if it's talking with the camera, that's something else. I also think that you need to have a steady clientele and people that like you, and also have a winning personality. And probably you need to find people that really are for your judge and for your niche and what it is that you're giving. And you really have to be able to serve in order for the results to come back to you over time. And this is also, like I said, I've been on these sites for close since I was what, 18, 17, 16, some since I was 13 and 14. Um, so I've had time and time again to be burned by people trying to manipulate me or trying to steal from me or trying to scam me.
Yeah.
And have kind of learned the language and I've learned the things to pick up on. I mean, you really are only going to get that through experience. So there's really no other way to try a cam, try a chat room, other than to just get in there and protect yourself and protect others, period.
Yeah. But just go in with like, keeping it open to like see new things, experience it, because that's the only way you're gonna need to know. You can't just go in being like, oh my god, what the fuck is all this? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think everybody should kind of get into it. I think it's an environment that can grow people more than it harms it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, because as long as you know how to create your own boundaries and stay true to what you want to do on it, and
Mm-hmm.
don't let anybody like penetrate that in a negative way, you'll have a good time.
Yeah, period. There
And
are
there's so much you can learn. There's so much you can learn by just watching people or even partaking.
no, once again, I'm always pointing to like the point of the show, but like we want to show the joy and like the fun and the discovery that comes from sex work, or what it can do for you and others. And there are definitely safe platforms and places that we can all go to experience this. And if there aren't, you can create your own. But yeah, a lot of what sex and intimacy is about the levels of vulnerability that you're willing to be with people. So once again, if you're not willing to like, show your dick online, you're probably not needing to do online cam work.
Yeah, or you might even just like, go into your sister's bedroom, steal her sports bra, move your skin together so you can look like you have breasts, and then just show it
Period.
on Megal, and maybe that's your judge.
Exactly. You got to find your niche. You got to find what it is that you want to do, and you also need to find something that's in your comfort level. If it's past, if it's touching an uncomfortability, then don't do it. Don't feel forced to do it, and always make sure that you're centering yourself when you're doing all this stuff. But be wary, have fun. Um,
Yeah, but the where the condom message is, do watch out for some shit because it
no,
can.
literally watch out for some shit. And talking about watch out for our shit, Jake, what is it that all these people should be watching out for next week?
Next week is going to be the first installment of an incredible 3-part series
Period.
all about porn.
I love porn.
Yes, we're going to get deep into the vaginal or anal walls of porn
Period. We're gonna
and what it
get
means to the
elbow
community.
deep.
Yes, what it means to the online culture, online sex culture in itself, and what it did to shape us as queer people when we were like, growing up in this world. a lot of this podcast, guys, we do want to compare what it is to us, what it means to us now as a culture, but what it meant to us growing up, because it's our story. This is
Mhm.
our life, and it's never been, in my experience, recorded to an extent that it, we all have these common things of the internet culture that shaped us.
Mhm.
So I'm glad Taylor and I are here to talk about these things with you, and please let us know y'all's stories. We want to hear your voices too. You're going to hear you're going to hear from some amazing people within the next couple episodes that have the most interesting perspectives.
Period.
And I want to hear y'all's too. So slide into my DMs. Taylor, you got your DMs open, girl?
Yes, DMs are open. Slide
Always
in.
open. Yes. Lubricated. Her DMs are
Ah,
lubricated.
lubricated, ready for
Sometimes the message will
everything.
send on itself before you're even done writing. It's
Ah,
always
she's loose, ready to go.
But yes, porn's gonna be an amazing series. I hope you guys enjoyed it, talking about like the intro to this entire podcast and what the online sex culture is for us, and we're excited about it. I'm excited.
Yes, we are. We're excited to see y'all next week. Make sure y'all continue to tune in. Make sure you continue to support. And we will see y'all soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Keep it sexy. Keep it hot. Keep it ready.